Broadcasting from the heart of downtown Hollywood. This is SoFloRadio.com.
Everybody to Rick's Show on the radio. We got a little bit of a delayed start today. You probably noticed because I know a bunch of my friends are texting me going, hey, what happened to your show? But we just had some traffic issues. Pretty rough out there, isn't it, George?
Yeah, to say the least.
All right. So anyway, my guest today is George Montero, film director in South Florida. And we have a couple of the actors that are going to be on the project that we're going to be talking about today, which is Highway to Hell, right?
Right.
So welcome to the show, George.
Thank you for having me, Rick.
All right.
Despite my tardiness, I apologize profusely.
No, that's okay. Things happen like that. That's why we have a whole bunch of music videos from our past bands that we show to delay things. But we're going to be here until 5:30 today, so stick around, folks. We got a lot to talk about here. As a matter of fact, there's two other guests who were stuck in traffic as well who should be showing up. Jay
Leopoldi and Kahra Keys.
Kahra Keys, and they're on their way. So let's get started with George. Mr. Montero. Okay. So, George, are you a native of South Florida?
Actually, I was born and raised in Miami. Coconut Grove, to be exact.
Excellent.
And then when things got so congested down there, I moved all the way up north to Fort Lauderdale. Oh. So, yeah. I'm a South Florida boy.
Oh, that's right. So you went to school and everything down here.
Went to University of Miami, although I did go out of state for a few years.
Mm-hmm. And now let's talk about how did you get interested in film directing and writing, or do you consider yourself a writer, director?
Well, I've done every job in the film business, really, but
kind of have to.
My interest started as a still photographer. When I was a kid, I had a darkroom in my closet and was fascinated by that. And then when I went to college, I got involved in theater and drama. And after that, I decided I wanted to put the two together, the photography and the drama. And so after college, I went to film school for a year. And that kind of really what became my passion.
Yeah.
Although out of college, out of film school, I came back to Florida and unable to really get a job in the film industry, since it was very much of a unionized thing. I found a position in broadcast news and stayed in that area for a long time.
With which organization?
I work for NBC Miami Bureau because I speak Spanish. They sent me to Nicaragua, Guatemala, El Salvador, all those fun places.
So you're a reporter then?
I was a cameraman.
Oh, cameraman.
I started as a sound man and then became a cameraman.
Excellent. Yeah, so let me ask you, you said that you got into the theater when you were younger as an actor?
Yeah, as an actor. I liked singing, so I did a lot of musical comedies, operettas. That's what I thought I wanted to do for a long time, but there was always that desire to get behind the camera and be the creator rather than just the performer. Mm-hmm. So that's where I really found my passion.
So let me ask you a little bit about your camera work. Are you as a director, I'm sure you know what you're looking for, but you spent some time as a camera operator too. So you're a director and a cinematographer as well.
Yeah,
and that's a good combination, I think.
It is and it isn't, because I find myself getting so consumed by the technical that I kind of just rely on the actors to do their thing, and that's not always the best.
No.
You've really got to give them a direction a lot of times, and I get so consumed with like the lighting and the angle and the
that's somebody else's job.
I really need to start stepping away from that position.
Well, you know what's good about that, when you find a team, and I'm pretty sure that as long as you've been doing it, you work with different cinematographers and people like that, and you find somebody that you really trust. Do you have a cinematographer that you use on a regular basis?
Actually, the cinematographer I used on this project is a guy named Wes Malkin.
Which project?
On Highway to Hell.
Highway to Hell,
this
right?
recent project. is when you want to turn over a department, so to speak, to somebody, I feel uncomfortable turning it over to somebody who knows less than the subject than I do. So, so I'm always taking it back. But Wes is like a wonderful cameraman, a wonderful DP, and has been working in this market for decades. So I really trusted him, although he wasn't available for every day of the shoot. He really kind of brought a professionalism to the whole thing that helped a lot.
Well, that's good that you find because that's what you need is to find somebody that you trust, and that relieves a lot from you there.
Sure.
I guess as a director, then you could start
because
beating up on your actors, right?
Exactly, exactly. If you're not worried if the exposure's right or the, yeah. And this particular film was, I would say, about 60 to 70% green screen.
Now, how is that for you? Is that a new thing for you? Are you used to doing green screen stuff?
I've done green screen on commercials. After being in the news area, I moved into commercial production. I've done a lot of green screen on commercials, but it's never as complicated as multiple performers in a virtual set scenario. And there again, I have to step out of my director role and be my visual effects supervisor, because if I see a crease in the green screen or the lighting is wrong,
right.
So it makes it very tough. And if I'd have known how hard it was going to be, I wouldn't have done it.
Yeah, I know. That's about the way it is for a lot of things. And it's a good thing that you don't know how hard it is, or else you wouldn't have done it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Now, I was on that set, as a matter of fact, or part of it, where you had green cloth like everywhere in a church lobby.
Right.
And
yeah,
wasn't much showing. All there was green almost.
Yeah, and if I had to do it over again, I think I would have done it in a professionally built green screen studio, because those angles and the fabric has a tendency to accept light in different ways, and some areas are darker and lighter and shadows. And I wanted to cry. I mean, I probably did cry literally numerous times in the edit room, looking at the footage and saying, how on earth am I going to make a acceptable picture out of this? Because with hair, and transparent costumes, and the angel wings were transparent.
Right.
Kahra was the angel, and it was just, I wanted to cry so many times.
So I guess that was a post-production fix it in post. I bet you're going to strangle the next guy that ever says we'll fix it in post, right?
Unfortunately, I was the post, so.
Yeah, so there was a lot of color correction going on.
Oh, yeah, a lot of color correction. The keying was the most difficult part, and I learned a lot of, by the seat of my pants, just having to resolve problems that I just, you can't anticipate every problem you're going to have, and you have to figure out a workaround.
All right, well, let's step back for a little bit here, and let's go back before we get big into the projects that you want to talk about. And we'll wait for some of the actors to show
Kahra,
up if they get here, and we'll talk more about it. But some of your earlier projects, do you produce your own material, or are you you consider, how much of a percentage of a writer are you?
Well,
you know what I mean by that?
Yes, I do. And I started getting interested in fictional programming, in narrative film production around 2007 or 8. It's very recently, actually. What I'd done up to that point were commercials, documentaries, that sort of thing, and a lot of it related to the water, because I'm a diver and I loved doing photographing underwater. So that was one of my first passions. And about the late 90s, I did a television series for the Travel Channel called the Seacam Journal, and basically I did a lot of commercial work for dive resorts and travel destinations like the Bahamas Ministry of Tourism and things like that. And I combined all these episodes into a series for the Travel Channel. I think we had 15 half-hour episodes, which I was the host of. I wrote it, I shot it, I edited it, I starred in it, and I had one other guy, my sound man, cameraman, Dean Schweinler, we literally put together a television series
Wow.
on our own. And it aired for a couple of years until Discovery bought the Travel Channel, and then they went into doing their own production in-house. Wow. But so that was sort of where I came from.
Right. Or documentary or that type of thing.
So there wasn't as much writing per se, but I in 2008 or 9, I believe it was, I went to a place called the Silver Bank in the Dominican Republic, and that's where the humpback whales go to raise their calves during the winter. And a friend of mine who was a whale expert and guide invited me to come down there to witness this and experience it and photograph it. And when we got all done, he said, what could I do to make some money off of the footage that I'm taking, because I'm getting all these great shots. And the gentleman's name's Tom Conlon. And I said, well, what you really need to do is you need to write a fictional story with, interesting characters and a beautiful scenery, and the whales, I mean, it's got to be a slam dunk. And I went home and I thought to myself, I'm preaching to the choir. I should be doing this myself, So I sat down and I started writing. And
wow. So you didn't have this story inside of you that needed to come out. You would just fill the need. You said, why don't I do this? And you tried it, huh?
Right. And so what evolved was I wrote a story around the kind of scenes I knew I could get.
Okay.
And the whales in the Silver Bank are beautiful, and you can get up close to them and you can interact with them. And I thought, and I love taking pictures of women underwater. They're beautiful and flowing and so forth. And I said, what a beautiful combination, the girls. So I came up with a storyline called Joanna and the Whale. And it's basically a modern-day version of the Jonah and the whale story from the Bible, but with a female character, main character. And so I was taking pictures of whales and girls and whales, and I hired a stunt double actress to put together a trailer with. And the film, unlike a traditional film, sort of evolved by shooting a little bit, writing a little bit, editing a little bit,
that is different.
Playing with some special effects, and eventually I came up with a script that was sold to a production company about a year ago. With the agreement that if and when they raise the money, that I would be the director. So the best of both worlds. So I'm hoping that's gonna happen here very soon.
Oh, that's great. I look forward to seeing that. It sounds pretty beautiful. As a matter of fact, I think I hear out in our green room, one of your actresses just came in. Is that correct, George? Can you hear me out there?
I can hear her and I can see her
All
around
right,
the corner.
So
We're prepping on it.
Okay.
Prepping.
Oh, she's going to
She
put on her
needs
makeup.
no preparation. She's putting on her angel wings? That's all I'm wondering.
Okay, great. So you've had some good success in that with writing as well. I mean, Joanna and the Whale sounds like a project that you've had for a while, but since then, you've had a couple other projects that are
here
completed,
she
right?
is. Yes,
All
and this is one of
right.
them.
Welcome. Come on. Join us, Kahra Keys. Welcome to the show. Nice to see you, dear.
Great to see you as well.
All right. Thank you for dressing.
She brought her
You're
wings.
in character.
Of course.
We want to welcome Kahra Keys to the show. Everybody say hi.
Oh, hello.
All right.
Hello, everybody.
Yes, we know there was a lot of traffic out there, so I'm glad you could finally get to the show here.
Me too. That's exciting.
And I think this is your third show with me, isn't it?
2.
Oh, this is number 2? Because I think there's 5 shows, and you get what do we give our guests when they do 5?
Yeah.
A cardboard cookie. Yeah. No, that's not good. No. Yeah, we'll
That
come up
doesn't
with
sound
something.
too good.
We'll come up with something better than that. I think we're going to do like a Saturday
Well, like
Night
a
Live
gluten-free
thing.
cookie or something.
Oh, well, it is gluten-free because it's cardboard. Well, anyway, Kahra, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
And I'm glad you finally made it. I think we're waiting for one more of the actors for your show here.
Daily party.
Yeah. So we were
Yes.
talking to George about his background, and I know we've gone through your background a little bit in the past, but why don't you tell me, aren't you also a native of Florida, or no?
No, but I was Miss Florida U.S. Nation, so
That's
I
right,
guess that would. But originally from the Midwest, so like.
This is kind of weird because I have to
Yeah,
move this
the
because I
thing,
can't.
yeah.
There you
Get
go.
it
There
good.
you go. That's
That's
better. Now I
better.
can see. All right.
And actually, I just flew in from Chicago this morning.
Oh,
I had
really?
a 5 a.m. flight, so
And your wings are tired, Dara.
it made it. It made it. The weather up there was really
Yeah.
a lot cooler, so it was a
Is
nice
it?
break from the heat right now.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, it's gonna be a long summer, I think.
No.
Yeah, I know. I hate that, but that's what it is.
So
Anyway, so tell us a little bit about how you got involved with George on this project. Why don't we talk about that?
well, we met at a secret bat meeting. You know, it's like a secret cave that you go to, and only certain people are invited.
Where
you know?
is it?
So it's
Come on, tell me. Tell me where it is.
I can maybe say it's in Florida. It's a secret meeting. So yeah.
Is it the Florida Hampton table? That's on State Road 84. Third Sundays of every month.
Good
Could
guess.
be.
Ah.
I'm making a joke, so
I get it. I know.
yeah. So we met there, I believe, right? That was.
Actually, the first time I saw you was at a little film festival
No, you're right.
over on Sunrise. What was that called?
You're right. It was the Red Shorts Film Festival.
Right, okay.
That was where, yeah, because I think it was Party Police. It tied
Yeah,
for
you
best
were-
music video.
Promoting a music
Yeah.
video, and you did a great job, and I thought, wow, she could be great in my film.
Yes.
And then I never thought about it again, and then we met at
Okay.
the table, and we were having a casting, and I told Rose Warner, who's our producer, this girl has something. I think we need to give her a shot.
Great. Now, Terry,
glad for
you
that.
play. Which character do you play in this in Highway to Hell?
Well, she's kind of a twofold character. So it's Angie and Angela. You know, Angie is kind of the guardian angel waitress. You know, a little kind of rougher side to her. In the film, you'll notice she has two different looks too. We did really two totally different looks, so it was really fascinating because it was like going into two different characters all in one.
Oh, that must be fun.
Yeah. So then the other side, of course, is the angel in heaven. So that's where the little.
Let me ask you. I know you. I know you, and you're a singer and a performer and a songwriter, and you did a lot of music videos. As a matter of fact, we worked together at a Cinemusique event. Actually, it was my first Cinemusique event. No, it was the second one. It was the second one, I believe. Yeah. And that was fun. Where you have a lot of music videos that you produced, and but as far as like an actress go, what are your interests and how long have you been involved, and what's your history in it's just working as an actress?
Well, I've always taken classes of theater, you know, in different productions and things like that, and then with doing all the music videos, I mean, it's very similar. You know, you have to turn a certain way for the camera. And a lot of them I shot kind of indie, so you definitely learn what not to do.
Sure.
You know, what looks good and things like that. And also with singing, you really have to get into character. You know, when you're singing, if you're upset, if it's like a love song, you know, or, you know, you just broke up with your boyfriend that day.
Right.
You know, like what happened to me right now.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, we can talk about that if you want. No? We'll talk about it.
Yeah. That's a
Okay.
story.
Well, but no,
There'll be a lot of guys coming to this premiere. I'm
Yeah,
sure.
you hear that?
Good.
Having heard that
because
news.
I'm back. in
Kara's
the
back on the
scene.
market, by the way. Can we make it official?
Yeah.
George is
We
over
we
there
had a
fixing
party
his
while I was
eyebrows.
away. Yeah.
Oh, please
That the
don't
police
tell
showed
me.
up to. Isn't that crazy?
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah. I mean, nothing like God telling you this is not the one, and
Oh,
you know.
yeah.
But honestly, He's been good. God's been with me like through this whole thing.
But
Good
your
for
boyfriend
you.
hasn't.
Yeah, I don't know. You know, evidently, well, he was doing some things that, you know, I
We
mean,
all have
God
our-
can't hide when you're doing something you're not supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you're not honest with people.
The truth comes out no matter what, eventually.
Very
It
true.
does.
God
Yeah.
willing.
So let me ask you a little about your role here before I
Go
play
ahead.
the video for the trailer. I would like to do
cool.
that next. But as far as like an acting goes, now, this sounds like you had a little bit more work to do. Now you have two different personalities. You're not just acting in a music video with you wrote the words and you know what you want to say and emote.
Right.
But now you have somebody saying, okay, now this is this character and this is that character. Was that a bit more of a challenge for you?
Definitely, but I mean, George is a great director, and even when we would rehearse, he would help to, the questions that you ask, what's the purpose of the scene, things like
Sure,
that can
background
help
stuff.
to really focus the background of, where you're supposed to be when you're in the scene, and then you hope it just comes out genuine, like,
Yeah.
as if this personality of, I think that's why we're cast. We have a certain energy or something like that. And to have that come through the character.
Yes. Now, I know you guys went through some cast changes, too, for this film, right?
Yeah. Actually, the first lead male we had for the role after the first day of shooting realized that this was going to be work.
Oh.
There were lines to memorize. The first day we did about 10 pages of script, dialogue, solid dialogue back and forth with her, and that was just too much for him.
Oh,
so he bowed out, and we had to recast the role. And
I guess
just
the
because,
day of shooting's not a good day
no, that's not
to
a
learn
best
the
day to
lines,
do
right?
that.
Well, no, I mean, there's something called off book. I mean, I was like, okay, I got to really do this.
Kara
so
was
I
so
was
prepared.
Like,
She didn't miss a line.
Oh, thank you. Because I was like, oh, I got to really do this great, and
Yeah.
he came in there like, I don't know.
Uh-oh.
And you can't direct somebody unless they're moving. It's like steering a boat. If the boat's not moving forward, you can turn the wheel all the way and nothing happens because, they've got to be prepared. They have to have the material down pat, and then that's the starting point.
Well, that seems to me like it's kind of a basic actor 101 thing,
Yeah.
don't you think?
I think
Be
what
prepared,
happens, though, is
learn
that
your
people think
lines.
since it's an indie and nobody's getting paid,
No. Let's try to straighten that out right now because this South Florida, I don't know if it's just South Florida, but, that's unacceptable. Totally unacceptable just because, whatever level we're working on in this business, film, music, or whatever, if you come there with less than everything that you've got to give, you're just doing yourself and everybody a disservice, don't you think?
Yeah, and I think it shows lack of respect for the cast and crew that are there waiting, prepared. They're all prepared, 10, 15 people
And
standing
now I'm
around.
speaking in general to everybody, not
Yeah, no.
specifically to you and your situation, but everybody in general. It's a good idea.
If you want to get ahead in this business, you have to be prepared. You have to be the first one there, the last one to leave. You have to impress.
Yeah.
You have to be your best.
Right. All right, I'm excited.
Yeah.
I know that you guys have already screened this one time, right? Or you call it a pre-screen, or what was it called?
It's been in a few film festivals.
Okay.
We
The official
haven't
term he's looking for.
Yes, it's a
What is
legal
the official
term.
we haven't screened it.
No, I know.
We are going to this
I know.
Saturday night.
Yeah.
Okay, with this official screening then?
Yes, it's we're calling it a red carpet.
No, black
happened
carpet.
with the
Come on.
Well, it is black. The
What's
red carpet
red
is
and the
black.
thing?
Okay, the red carpet is black. Okay.
But it is a preview
All right.
by invitation. So it's not an official screening, but we've got a lot of people
It's a
invited.
viewing.
You're invited,
I know.
and I hope you're going to be there.
I will.
Awesome.
Yeah. Mr. Tommy O'Brien's driving down from Georgia to come down.
Oh, that's
to this.
great. I heard he was
Really?
going to make
I hope I
it.
didn't blow a secret or something, but I've been texting him back and forth
Oh,
with some
that's
other things. And he
great.
goes, I'm coming down. Great.
Now everybody knows.
Yeah. All right. Sorry, Tommy, if I blew your surprise. Anyway, how about it? Are we ready to play the trailer for Highway to Hell? Let's watch the trailer to Highway to Hell, and we'll come right back, okay?
What the hell's wrong with you, bub?
I thought I told you to stay on your side of the line. No one's going anywhere until I find my darn... That's not it. And that's not it either.
Excuse me. Exactly where are we? I must have made the wrong turn back at that highway. If you could just give me directions, I'll find my way out of here.
Can't you see I'm dealing with a crisis here? Do you want me to send you to the back of the line? Well, then wait your turn. Now, where is that thing?
Not this again.
So you did. Get over it.
Finally, I'm getting what I have coming to me.
Oh, you can be sure of that. And watch out for the unicycle.
Is that guy all right?
Yeah, his eyes just aren't used to the dark. I mean, light. He's got all the time in the world now.
So, it sounds like you guys put together a comedy for faith-based comedy. I don't really see too many of those. How did you get the idea for that?
Well, that's a good question.
Thanks.
I don't remember offhand, but you know, there's so many trade and just uncreative faith-based films that are being made that I thought, if you're going to tell a story, do it in a clever way, and and comedy. You know, I guess you don't see that much comedy and faith-based, and comedy's very hard because you're never 100% sure when something's going to be funny or not, and you can go too far or not far enough.
Yeah, then you're making fun of something.
Yeah,
or somebody's going to perceive that, right?
Yeah, so
especially when it comes to religion, people get kind of,
they get a little funny about that. Yep, you're right.
So yeah, you got a fine line to tread, but
True.
I
so
think
you were treading that line then, weren't
I think
you,
you
George?
did it.
Yeah.
You know.
yeah,
I
well,
think
we
you
all
got
did,
it.
and it was because I think we got such a great group of people together to work on it that they all like caught the vision and they just, you know, got a real kick out of it. Rose, of course, who runs the Florida Table and produced my other film, Infidel, she, you know, saw the potential in it right away and wanted to go right into casting, and we had a lot of great people try out, and it was really a tough decision. And the people we chose were not the people with the best, quote unquote, resume and pedigree. It was the people that really, you know, matched the parts like Kahra did. I mean, can't you see? She looks like an angel.
Thank you.
It's important that the casting is very important
Very
to the
important.
process of a filmmaker. I mean, that's one thing I noticed that I think people do on a local level is they just get their friends, you know. We were friends. Hey, be in my movie, and it's not always appropriate to just have the same people, or this person just might not be. There might be a better person that you don't know that will fulfill the role and bring things to it that you didn't even think of.
Yeah, that always happens. You just let people read the script and you hear it for the first time,
Right.
and you think, oh wow, I never thought of it that way, or I never knew there was a joke in that line, or whatever. So
Well, there was something I wanted to ask when Jay's getting here, but I have a feeling he's going to be a little later. So why don't we talk a little bit about Jay's role, and he can maybe answer some questions if he shows up or if he gets here. But I understand that Jay's wasn't really an actor, or wasn't really, at least he told me, he says, I wasn't really an actor. I just, they said, do this. And he said, okay. So how did you find Jay?
Well, actually, he was a friend, or not necessarily a friend, but he'd had some dealings with Rose Warner, our producer. He's not an actor. He is a motivational speaker and a professional, I don't know if you'd call him a corporate speaker. He speaks on a number of subjects and so forth with regards to marketing and promotion. He runs a sports marketing firm, and we sent him an invitation for the casting, and I hope he arrives and tells us this. But he said he just heard God tell him to do it, and he said, "I'm going to do it." And he showed up, and he said, I said, "Who are you?" And he said, "Jay." And I said, "What are you going to do?" And he says, "God told me I'm supposed to do this role." And I said, "Well, if that's good enough for me." He read it, and it was like he was the person I had written it for. He was the guy. So I think there was a little bit of divine inspiration in the whole project. And
well, that's good when it's blessed. And there's no other way to be.
That's the he's the ultimate casting agent, I would think, huh?
Yeah, right. And I was really disappointed when our first actor quit because I thought he was the guy for the role. But
hey, when one door closes,
another
one opens, right?
Right.
That's the way it works. So this event we're having here on Saturday, correct?
Saturday.
Where's it at? What's it gonna? Is it? I understand you're going to be showing another film as well.
Well,
right?
we're going to be showing. We're calling it a red carpet preview screening of the film because
are we calling it that?
It's
pretty called the black.
But it is a black carpet to be precise. We're doing it at the church where we actually filmed it, which is Victory Life Church in Plantation, off of Hiatus and Broward Boulevard. If you do want to come, however, you should go to the Highway to Hell movie Facebook page and
register.
Yeah, let us know your.
I understand that there was a couple days ago. There's only 10 tickets anyway. So
well, yeah, it does look like there's going to be quite a crowd. So
well, that's a good thing.
We'll show it again if we fill up the first time. We'll show it again.
Okay.
And as a double feature, we're going to show my other film, which Rose also produced, called Infidel, and
which was shot in that same church as well.
Shot in that same church as well.
And you wouldn't know it. It looks so different in film.
Yeah,
that's good.
Yeah, and as timely and as upsetting and disturbing as the fact of the matter is, the theme of this film is about a church shooting, which had just happened in Charleston, and so it's very timely in its message, in that the story revolves around a terrorist who enters a church and fires his gun in the air and says, "Anyone here who's not a Christian is free to leave." And after a stampede for the door, about a half a dozen people refuse to leave. And they stand up to him and challenge him in a way that he really wasn't expecting. So it's got an interesting bunch of twists and turns because the people who stay are not the kind of people you'd expect to even find in a church.
Well, that's great because the people that followed Jesus around for the time wasn't the kind of people that you.
They weren't church
either,
people either.
Yeah.
They were kind of the different, people from all walks of life. So I think.
Did you write Infidel as well?
I wrote Infidel as well, and it actually started as a result of a story I had heard years ago about a scene from a church, I believe, in Germany or Russia, where something similar actually happened during World War II. So I just brought it into a more of a present day setting.
I won't give anything away, but I saw the film, and I know there's a little twist about who that guy is that goes in there, right?
Yeah, sure is.
Just won't let. That's enough to let anybody know.
There is.
So, what kind of you got a little twist in the story for?
There's
Highway
lots
to
of
Hell?
twists in Highway to Hell.
Okay.
And she is the instigator for most of them.
Is that right?
Uh-oh.
Did you know that going in, or when you read the script? Tell me about when you read the script. Were you intrigued with the way it was going? And
well, it is true. When you first do your readings, it's of course it's a portion of the script. So when you finally read the whole thing, you're like, it kind of hits you kind of in another way, which is good. That means it's not predictable just by getting a piece of it. You know what would happen. So that shows excellent writers.
Well, even the most interesting twist in the plot came after the script was finished and the film was cast, and one scene and one little element in the in the storyline, which I changed after having the actors in place and everything, was so, I wouldn't say controversial, but so polarizing that one of the actors dropped out after the change in the script, just because of the change in the script.
Wow. Well, that's can you, without revealing too much about it? I mean, I don't understand why somebody would drop out unless they were offended by it.
If I gave that away, it would kind of give away the secret to the story. Sometimes, I mean, you're right. I know you ran a writing class. I never got to join it, but sometimes the story takes on a life of its own. You start going in this direction, and all of a sudden you
the
get
story
a glimpse
tells
of
itself
something.
sometimes.
Yeah, and it's
It
like you
does.
feel like, wow, maybe I'm not the ultimate author here. I'm just kind of like channeling
exactly
this, right?
So why would I mean, what kind of a twist could you write that would be like,
well,
I'm not doing that?
Well, that's why you gotta come.
That's why you gotta come.
I mean, really, it is. Yeah,
Okay.
he dropped
But
out.
it will. I mean, grown men have cried at the end of this film.
Oh wow, okay, good.
And I showed it to a group of my friends just to see, just to get some feedback. And I mean,
Yeah, it was good.
I see.
Yeah, we all figure out
It's a
ways
good thing,
of
though, when you see him cry, though. That means
Wow,
he
it
did
means like,
something
wow,
right.
I must have done something here. Somebody must have done something here.
That's a good feeling. I've got that down to a science. If I'm watching a movie and I'm gonna cry, okay, it's not there anymore, right?
No.
Yeah, don't
Come
go,
on, guys can cry.
Big boys
Yeah,
don't
right.
cry.
No.
No, okay, I'll admit
Big
it
boys
right
are
here.
in touch with their emotions.
I'll admit it right here on my radio show. I cry at movies, okay? There you go. Yeah.
Admission.
I don't
Yeah.
blubber or anything like that. But, yeah, there's none
Oh,
of that.
good.
George
Yeah.
does, though. George, yeah, he blubbers like a
blubber?
little girl.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
No, the Notebook did it for me.
Oh, yeah, it was beautiful. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, that's great. So we're looking forward to that screening. And now, do you have any news about the Joanna and the Whale film, or is that progressing?
Yeah,
or-
it's progressing
You said
gradually.
you sold it to somebody, didn't
Well,
you?
I
or-
sold the screenplay. I optioned the screenplay to a production company, and
Okay.
they started working on the financing, and they were, going back and forth, and time was passing, and more time passed, and their option was about to run out, and so they renewed their option, and they only had like one or two renewals in the contract that I had with them, and I got the sense that these people had bit off more than they could chew, and they really weren't going to make the film, but they didn't want to let go of it. And so I told them, look, I appreciate all you've done, but I'm not going to be able to renew it
Right.
again. The time's up.
Yeah.
And they had put some substantial amount of work and money into the project up to that point, and they surprised me. Instead of letting the option run out, they exercised the option and bought the script outright. And
All right.
so at that point, my contract,
Yeah.
Well, that's what you want. Also.
begins, and
Well, it depends.
part of the contract was that if they buy it, that I have to direct it.
Oh, there you go.
So,
So now you got built-in financing.
someday, if they ever raise the money,
Okay.
and hopefully that'll be soon. But again, you don't want these big projects that are going to happen someday in the future. You got to do something right now, and that's why
That's true.
You
Infidel
never know
and
when a message is going to really need to be with somebody.
right, yeah,
Yeah, or
And-
something that you do to prompt one of these projects forward will actually be the impetus to get it moving. So
sure,
yeah.
And you always hone your skills working with people on even little short films. Highway to Hell is not that short; it's 35 minutes.
Oh, I
it's
see.
it's basically like a television episode. And my dream would be if we could do more like this, because Highway to Hell and Infidel and some other scripts I've written all have a sort of a quirky, what do you call it, like Twilight Zone sort of
Okay. Like a
nature
theme.
to
Yeah.
them. And
So maybe you got a
It's always
series
kind of-
brewing here.
Yeah,
What do you
so
think?
maybe
Yeah,
with some
right.
repeat characters like the angel.
Yeah, sure. Why not?
Why not?
So that's
So,
another option.
I understand that Infidel is. You guys got some awards. Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Gee, if you
In
go on
the
the website,
short
you can
cir-
see some of the awards we got. I can't remember offhand which one. So we won an award, best something or other at the International Christian Film Festival.
Best something or other is a good
best-
award to
yeah,
get
best
too. I'll tell you what. That's
film
that's the
between
best
20 and
one.
30, something like that. And we won some awards in normal film festivals. We entered some faith-based film festivals and some regular film festivals. And it's been interesting because we did the same with Highway to Hell, and we got outright rejected from some faith-based festivals. They wouldn't even allow it to be aired. And then we won awards in some secular festivals. So, and I thought, wow, did I miss something here?
No, maybe you're getting something right.
Maybe, because
You're testing some buttons.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
So you gotta follow your gut on these things. There's a little bit of language in the film. Obviously, we shot it in church. You want to be sensitive to that, audience, but you've got to portray people as they are. If the bad guy
that's true.
says darn and golly,
and that's
gee
the worst
whiz,
thing about those.
Oh gosh!
it
type
just
of-
kills
Oh
it.
gosh! Yeah.
Yeah. I guess you got to balance between. All right, am I going to be true to life with my film, or am I going to offend some old church lady?
Here's the thing. It's like really we're looking to get an audience that is, you don't want to sing to the choir like they say.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah,
You
I
wanna-
think
Exactly.
You
I
want to
think there's a
reach
good-
people that are over here on the line.
you got to cast a wider net.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So
Is that what you're trying to do with your mission as a director? I
Well-
mean, you're mostly a faith-based.
Well, yes. I would say I'm not what a conventional faith-based filmmaker would be, but I'm a Christian, and I believe there is some great stories in the Bible, and there's a great message in the Bible of redemption and healing, but it's been set aside by so many people because it's not seen as contemporary or not seen as relevant, and I'm trying to make the message relevant in a contemporary situation. A truck driver driving down the street, trying to stay awake, and drinking and driving, and
Right.
where he winds up, giving him a glimpse of where he might wind up if he's not careful. So.
Oh, that sounds to me like the stories that are in there already. I mean, when you think about it, the heroes of the Bible are pretty much, not very many nice people in
Regular
there.
guys.
Yeah, just regular people would, and kind of ruthless sometimes when you think about like Solomon or the
David.
guys. Yeah, David. I mean, they did some really bad things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And and the Bible shows them warts and all. We should be able to do that.
Yeah, I would think so.
It's true. Yeah. No sugarcoating there.
But I think the problem comes when it's perceived in the religious sense, because you're not going to show a film that uses like expletives to get the point across, curse words and stuff like that. Even if it's a faith-based thing, you're not going to show that in a church because, you don't want to hear that kind of
Right.
thing. There's like a thing when you go into a church, you don't expect to see,
And-
the dirty world
Right.
and all that. And I think you should, because that's what it's about. I
The
think
people
it's more
sitting
about
in
that.
church just came from outside the church.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They didn't come from heaven. They just walked in off the street.
Yes.
They
They didn't just
know
drop
what's out
in.
there.
Yeah. They came through the door. Yep.
And but what you say is very, very true.
Yeah, well, I'm seeing a trend on that with some of the faith-based films are getting away from, the, really nice. It's so nice and inoffensive, to, I can't even tell whether that was a faith-based film. I mean, I get the
Right,
message,
exactly.
but it felt like a film that I want to see because I don't want to see the other one. I'm sorry, I just bored with that stuff.
There's a
good.
couple of films
You know?
like that I've seen in the past. Did you ever see Apostle with Robert Duvall?
I did not. Isn't that an older film?
It's maybe 20 years old, where he's
Right.
like a preacher, but he's kind of lost his way, so to speak. But despite all his failings, and they're many, and they're addressed in the film, he's got this faith, this deep faith, that despite the fact that he'd done a lot of bad things, it always brings him back.
Mm-hmm.
And he loses everything in the film, but ultimately, the audience is on his side because he knows he's not perfect, yet he keeps trying.
It's good to see those type of messages coming into the mainstream, and with mainstream famous actors doing like the Moses story. There's a bunch
There's
of
a lot
different
of
new
faith-based
ones that are
films
coming
being
out
done
with
now.
Christian Bale, right?
Oh, yeah, right.
Yeah. Some pretty big, spectacular stuff.
And it's interesting because when I first wrote Joanna and the Whale, I soft-pedaled the faith nature of it because I knew it was going to be a hard sell, because when I started writing it in like 2010, faith-based films weren't that popular. But now that they're on the uptrend, and films like
they're making money, actually.
God Is Not Dead made $100 million in the theaters on a $1 million investment,
Nice.
and that's like 10,000% profit or 100,000, whatever it is. That's more than any of the studio films make, and Hollywood has taken note of it.
Well, the guys that make money are, and you know what? Even if that's the impetus, so what? You know what I mean? At least the message gets out there. And
But I've read some articles lately, and it's funny. They're trying to figure out, well, how do we tap into this faith-based market? And some films have come out like Noah that tried to, but it was so just such a weird interpretation with rock monsters building the ark that it was almost comical.
It could
did you see?
Yeah, I was thinking about bringing that up, but again, that's why it all comes down to the director and where is this mind and what is your interpretation of this and what is behind that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I got the feeling that whatever was behind that was not of a pure,
Just an idea to make a blockbuster movie.
Yeah.
You mean it's the same reason they do the Lone Ranger movie, because it's we just don't really have any original ideas, and we know this works, and hey, here's another book that we could do, the Bible. Why not? Let's do stories from the Bible now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's a heart that's sort of behind every
there should be,
project that sort of flows from this, and especially if it's going to be something blessed about the Bible, it has to have that.
You can't use the Bible as a starting point and then just make up stuff to fill in the blank. You can, but it shows the audience that you don't really respect the book that they're coming to see, a story about. Mm-hmm. So you offend the audience that you're trying to reach, and the rest of the world, goes away thinking, wow, I didn't know there's rock monsters in the Bible.
Boy, that's cool. Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, I know we have another trailer here that I wanted to show here, and it's from your film Infidel.
Okay.
So why don't we show that trailer, and so that the audience knows that this event coming up on Saturday will have both of those films, and then we'll wrap up the show, okay? So may we just go ahead and watch that Infidel trailer?
To follow Jesus, I have decided to follow Jesus. Decided to follow Jesus. No. May I have your attention, please? Anyone in here who's not a Christian is free to go. You have exactly 1 minute. 30 seconds. 20 seconds. 10 seconds. Time's up! I said, time's up. But seeing as I'm such a benevolent individual, I'm going to give you all one last chance to renounce your faith. Only this time, it's going to have to be a little more public.
All right, so that's what you guys can see. Look forward to this Saturday. Both of those films will be shown, right?
Yep, Saturday, 7 p.m., Victory Life Church, Old Hiatus Road and Broward Boulevard in Fort Lauderdale, and we'll hope to see you there.
What time does it go to?
It goes from about 7 to 10. We're going to show
10.
Highway to Hell twice if we have a large enough crowd, and then Infidel in between. And you'll get to meet the crew, the cast, get your picture taken on the Highway to Hell. We got a green screen.
Oh, great.
So you can send that to your friends.
If you don't have one to heaven, I'd rather
Well,
be
it's
on that
actually,
road.
yeah.
That's a different highway. But
Yeah,
anyway.
not as many people on that one.
No, that's true, yeah.
The
It's
Skyway.
Smaller road, too,
Yeah,
isn't it?
narrow.
Yeah, not narrow.
Quite narrow.
And Miss Kahra, tell us, before we sign off,
Okay.
do you have any upcoming thing? I'm sure you do.
Yes, well, on Sunday, the day after, we have the Miss U.S. Nation pageant, and it's going to be at Don Shula's in Miami Lakes. So come there around 3. If you'd like to see girls, we're going to do lots of girl walking and fashion show and things like that.
I'm not allowed to do that anymore.
Are you still in it?
I'm married.
Well, I'm going for Miss U.S.
Oh, okay.
So
How
you
about
got to
that?
come support me, too.
From Florida.
Because I was Miss Florida for 2014. So,
Oh, okay.
Excellent.
yeah, gonna,
Well,
fight
we'll
the
vote
girls.
for you.
No, I'm just kidding.
Great.
Does the audience get
any,
to vote?
I think it's like the Simon thing, like they're the 5th vote, something like that. Yeah. So there are judges, some from the table as well that are
Excellent.
judges.
And what about your music? What's new with the musical thing?
Well, I have a new album and a new title.
Wow.
New. It's
Yet
called,
another one.
Yeah, I
That's
know.
great.
It's called Whistleblower. And
Spelt that way?
yeah, whistleblower, like,
All right.
But yeah, it's sort of, again, in a fun way, sort of describing like whistleblowers and, encouraging people to speak out when they see injustices occur. Because I
Okay,
believe
cool.
that's the only way change can occur is, within your circle, you see things happening, you need to let people know.
All right. Do
Wow.
you have a website that people can go to so that they
great.
can learn more about your music?
Definitely, KahraMusic.com. It's Kahra, and it, even if you forget music, you just Google Kahra and you find me. So.
Yeah, you're
Not
probably
too many of those.
Yeah.
Luckily, yeah, man, like
That's
a
great.
5-letter word that comes up on Google that's worth millions.
Wow.
And when is this new release? When are you ready to release it?
Well, in the fall, I'm adding a
Okay.
couple new songs because I want to kind of go with a little bit with the cheerleader referee kind of theme with that.
Okay.
So I'm gonna add a couple more songs in, but yeah, it's looking like pop, and then some songs are jazz.
Excellent.
Yeah.
All right, Kahra. Hey guys, thanks for being on my show today. I guess that's it for the Rick's Show on the Radio, June edition. Next week, I got a really exciting. I'm going to get back into my musical friends. I'll be Skyping a good friend of mine in from Tampa while my friend Scott Avery plays music. That's a new thing I've been working on, having live jam sessions, except that somebody is in another part of the world, and we play over the internet. That's kind of interesting.
Nice, very up
We'll
to
get
date.
back into that. So, guys, thanks very much again, and we look forward to seeing your event here. And best of luck with your music and your faith-based films, George. And
Thank
look
you very
forward
much.
to seeing you on Saturday.
Great.
All right, folks, that's it for Rick's Show on the Radio for this day. We'll see you next week on SoFloRadio.com.
from high atop 1926 Hollywood Boulevard, you're listening to SoFloRadio.com.